This woman got pregnant 71 times in a single year, and every time, her own husband forced her to get rid of it. Each success was a reason for him to celebrate. Then came the 72nd pregnancy. This time, he finally agreed to let her give birth. But the baby wasn't normal, it was a monster. Everyone around was terrified. But the man? He looked delighted. The 72nd child was named Jack. They strapped a gourd-shaped mask on his face, and kept him penned up like a dog. Even though Jack had only 3 legs, he could run like the wind. Life was rough, but manageable. Until one day, an accidental glimpse changed everything. Jack's father was teaching his 2 older sons how to dance, hoping to pass on his prized skills. But no matter how many times he taught them, they were hopeless. Jack, on the other hand, could mimic the moves perfectly after just one look. That's when he fell in love with dancing, practicing every single day, dreaming of his father's approval. When Jack finally perfected his moves, something unbelievable happened. He grew human legs again. Overjoyed, he ran into the streets to share the news. He thought people would finally stop judging him. But as he passed a kindergarten, the kids still stared at him like he was a freak. Hurt and angry, Jack ripped off the gourd mask he'd worn for 8 long years. The villagers screamed and ran in every direction. Then one day, he met a boy named Mike. Mike didn't flinch at Jack's hideous face, because he was blind. And not just blind, he was a brilliant musician. Jack asked him to play, and to their surprise, they were perfectly in sync, like they'd been meant to perform together. Jack even shared stolen steamed buns with him. They bonded over their shared hardships, and became inseparable friends. Jack's dancing grew sharper and more dazzling, eventually surpassing his father's. But instead of pride, his father felt nothing but jealousy. He couldn't accept that the heir to his craft was a monster, so he tried to stop Jack from dancing altogether. 5 years later, Jack and Mike were young men. Jack still didn't know why he'd been born a monster, but he'd noticed something. Every time he danced, his body became a little more human. One day, Jack brought Mike to a borrowed stage and performed. Their act was so good, the villagers couldn't help but dance along. Jack's fame spread like wildfire. Soon, nobody came to watch his father anymore. Even his father's last few loyal fans drifted to Jack's shows. After a few more performances, Jack's whole body was human again, except for his face. He figured just a few more shows would do it. But then his fame reached the capital. The emperor himself invited Jack to perform, on one condition. After the final dance, he had to remove his mask. Everyone imagined he must be devastatingly handsome under there. If they saw a monster instead, he'd be killed on the spot. When Jack's father heard this, he was secretly thrilled. It was exactly the ending he wanted, so he agreed on Jack's behalf. The next day, his father hid in the shadows, waiting for Jack to choke under the pressure. But Jack didn't miss a step. In fact, he only got better and better. As he danced, flashes of his forgotten past came rushing back, and he finally learned the truth. His father had made a deal with a cursed mask to keep his Dance King title. The price? Every one of his wife's 72 pregnancies. Jack was chosen as the final sacrifice, traded for inspiration before he was even born, doomed to enter the world as a monster. When the dance ended, Jack pulled off the mask, and for the first time in his life, his face was human again. But tell me, do you really think his father would just let him go?